138 MMA here. I'm here with Brandon Beast Mode Meyer. We're going to be talking about his upcoming bare knuckle fight at BKFC 33 in Omaha, Nebraska. But also, since this is our preview and predictions of an upcoming UFC 281 matchup between Israel Adesanya and Alex Pereira, he's going to give his take on the fight. I'll give my take, and you'll kind of hear the fighter's perspective on this big matchup coming up right now.
You wanted the picks, you got the picks. The hottest picks in the world.
281. Let's talk a little bit about your BKFC 33 fight coming up against, I believe it is a very game opponent in Shane Moffat. What are your thoughts on this matchup? How do you feel, and what have you kind of been doing to prepare yourself for your debut at BKFC?
Basically, this has probably been a long time coming, you know what I mean, going to bare knuckle. This is kind of where I started the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a natural transition for me. Although it's both of our BKFC debuts, I believe that it's gonna be fireworks, because I'm about to let them hands go.
There you go.
You know, and in prior fights, you know, in MMA, you know, a lot of times you have to worry about the takedowns. So sometimes you gotta reserve your hands a little bit and not let go as much as you would if you didn't have to worry about the takedown.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I'm excited to be able to just let these things go with no padding on them, you know what I mean? They're about to feel that Thor's hammer for real, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean, Thor's hammer, okay. So let me ask you this. So in preparation for the BKFC fight, obviously the potential to break your hand is there. What have you done to prepare yourself for either A, breaking your hand, or B, hopefully preventing that measure in this fight?
Just mitt work, you know what I mean? Just working on my striking accuracy and making sure I'm not just, you know, melee. A jab is a jab, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's you know, it's bare knuckle. It's a statement to be made just with a jab. So fundamentals, you know what I mean? Look for body shots, you know what I mean?
Of course.
It's gonna be a nightmare for him in there if he's not ready for this. So I hope he is. It's gonna be interesting.
So have you been doing this mitt work with or without gloves?
I usually, even before preparation for BKFC, a lot of times I hit bags without gloves, just because I've been doing it so long that my wrists are conditioned so that there's rarely I hit a bag and fold my wrist up, you know what I mean? Like, there's just a strength that you develop over years of hitting bags like that. And I believe that some of the traditional stuff that they used to do back in the day, they kind of went away from.
Yeah.
We need to kind of like bring back strengthening our bodies and stuff like that, you know, especially like going into, you know, our careers.
Absolutely. So this upcoming matchup, it's kind of both. Obviously, you're both making your debut at BKFC. From watching anything that you've seen in his MMA, do you think him and you have a similar style going into this, or do you think this is going to be an easier transition for you than it is for him?
I think that on paper it's going to be a lot easier transition for me based on what I've seen from him. He's got a lot of submissions in his MMA career. Although, like, he's got a warrior mentality, he'll go out there and bang. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, when he gets in trouble and he doesn't have that takedown or ground game to go to, how he reacts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's excellent. So that sounds like an awesome fight coming up. We'll give you some details here at the end of the video on that fight. But real quick, before we go too far, I would like to get Brandon's opinion on our UFC 281 main event, Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira, and I know that he and I both kind of have a differing opinion on this fight, so it should be an interesting one for all you, the viewers. So for UFC 281, our main event is Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira. Now for me, I've got Israel Adesanya, and let me tell you why. Israel Adesanya, yes, these two have fought in kickboxing twice, and technically Alex has the win in both of those matchups. But the caveat that we're forgetting here, Adesanya got robbed in one of those. I don't care who you are. If you watch the fight, you know he got robbed when it went to decision. He outlanded him. He looked better. He got robbed. In the knockout loss, Yes, he was knocked out, and it does not matter how it looked before that because once you get knocked out, you lose. But Adesanya was getting the better of Alex that whole fight until the knockout. So for me, I think the guy that already shows to have the better, more well-rounded kickboxing skills, even though 2 losses, has the better skills in kickboxing, now fighting more in his realm of MMA with the best footwork in the UFC, especially at middleweight, the best striking at range and without getting hit himself. A guy who knows how to do just enough to keep himself ahead in each round and not overexert. Really reserves his gas tank without just running. He's able to use his footwork, his strikes, his output, everything just to control a fight. Someone like that for Adesanya, who's the champion, has been for a very long time as a dominant champion. I think he can get the nod over a guy who's got 3 MMA fights, albeit impressive so far. I just think it's too early for Alex to get his championship win here over a guy who has been doing it so long for at such a high level, and also who's not over the hill by any means. He's still young, he's still hungry, he's still getting these wins impressively. I know there was that take where a lot of people said that Cannonier was able to kind of win rounds against Adesanya. Yeah, maybe he was, but not dominant enough to cause any real damage to Adesanya. And for me, I think that is going to be a big hurdle for Pereira to be able to jump over here, is to be able to cause real damage to a guy like Adesanya in a matchup in MMA where the threat of the takedown is there, even though Adesanya is known to be more of a striker. But I know that Brandon has a different opinion. He's on Alex's side on this one, so I'm gonna hand it off to him and let him kind of give you his thoughts on why he thinks that I'm not right on this one. And then you guys in the comments can let us know what you think, and we'd love to hear your feedback because your feedback is always appreciated on this channel. And before I hand it off to Brandon, don't forget to hit like for me because it helps the channel grow and you get more awesome videos like this. But Brandon, what are your thoughts on this fight?
Well, I know that I'm probably the minority maybe in this because Adesanya has such a good following. He is the UFC champion, you know what I mean? As a fighter, I know that there's something to be said about hunger when it comes to that, you know? I think that Alex Pereira is pretty hungry right now, you know?
Rightfully so.
You know, with the extensive kickboxing record that he has, you know, he's no stranger to big world fights, you know? Although the UFC is a league of its own, so to say, you know? But I just think that if he actually goes out there and lets go, the nastiness that he brings when he actually lets his hand go, if he connects, he puts him down, you know? And is Adesanya, you know, has he trained enough MMA to revert to a takedown or a clinch if he gets rocked, you know? We haven't really seen him get tested against somebody that has actually beat him in a striking contest.
That's a fair point. Whether
it was, you know, back and forth before it happened, when you get knocked by somebody and they leave you unconscious, it plants a seed in your head, you know? Now, whether you let it grow and water it or not, that seed is planted, you know what I mean? So it'll be interesting to see how Adesanya deals with the storm that I feel that Alex Pereira is going to bring to him. He's not going to come forward like all the other strikers or wrestlers that Adesanya fights that are scared to strike with him. Mm-hmm. They don't really want to strike with him. You know what I mean? So he's kind of used to that. He kind of gets in a mode where he's comfortable and he kind of picks at dudes and gets his way, you know? And his footwork's good enough to where he can pick and stay away and do his thing and get the nod, whether he's finishing dudes or not. I just think that he's going to have a real big test against a fellow striker that is going to come forward like that. So we'll see.
Okay, yeah, those are all very, very good points. And in fact, the thing that I hadn't really put into my analysis as much is the knockout in kickboxing. Now, I understand that obviously if you've been knocked out by somebody, obviously you know you've lost to them, so there is that, and you know you lost in a pretty rough way. But for me, I kind of left it off because it was a different sport. But obviously, Brandon, who is now making the transition from MMA to bare knuckle, obviously has that kind of idea of how the transition goes and going between two different but yet similar styles of sports, two combat sports but yet different sports. So that's an interesting perspective that I had not really considered at that same level. Let me ask you this. What do you think happens as far as how the fight ends? Do you think it goes to decision? Do you think we get a knockout? Because those two have fought both, or twice in kickboxing, both of them with different outcomes. We had a decision where Pereira got the decision there, and we had a knockout where obviously Adesanya was left unconscious. How do you think this one ends in the MMA realm?
So I think that if Pereira executes his game plan and he wins by knockout. If Adesanya wins, then I believe that he's going to be able to execute his footwork and do enough and be able to stay away enough to minimize damage taken by Pereira to get the nod in the decision. But
so basically, depending on who wins, you think it kind of depends on who you think or how you think the end comes.
yes.
Okay, these are all hot takes. They're all good takes. I do believe currently Adesanya is the favorite, but slightly. So I don't think it's as big as Adesanya typically is in his matchups, where he's usually a massive favorite over his opponents. So this should be a really interesting matchup coming up November, I believe, 12th. Before we go too far, before we wrap up this video, I do want Brandon to be able to talk about his fight, which is coming up in November. So we're gonna let him talk about that really quick. So we have Brandon's event coming up. This is BKFC 33, taking place in Omaha, Nebraska on November 18th. You can stream it online at bkfc.com. You can also buy tickets there or at the box office in Omaha, Nebraska. The event's going to start at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I do believe. That is the main card, I believe. But Brandon here, he's going to be fighting Shane Moffitt. If you'd like to purchase those tickets, be sure, if you purchase them online or if you purchase the stream, that you select that Brandon Meyer is the one who referred you to this. Now, Brandon, why don't you let everybody know how they can find you on your social media?
You can find me at on Instagram, Brandon Beast Mode Meyer, pretty easy. I also have Facebook, my name, picture as well. Like I said, you can, anybody that follows me on Facebook locally can hit me up for tickets, or you can go online, like he said. But, it's going to be a banger, so y'all going to want to tune into this one.
You're definitely going to want to tune in. I've seen this guy fight plenty of times, and it's always exciting. No matter the outcome, Brandon brings a fight to his opponent like you've never seen. And let me tell you something. This guy's ready for BKFC 33 in Omaha, Nebraska. He's ready to roll. You're not going to want to miss these fights. This guy's gonna put him out early in the fight. It's BKFC, nobody really goes that long. He's gonna put him out early in the fight. He's gonna drop this fool like a sack of potatoes, throw him out like the dirty laundry. All my fans are Brandon Beast Mode Meyer fans, am I right? Like this video, subscribe if you want to see more content like this in the future, and be sure to follow Brandon at Brandon Beast Mode Meyer on Instagram. You can also check him out on Facebook if you're feeling wild. Check him out for tickets, check him out for fight news, all that good stuff. I'm sure you are going to be a big fan of this guy going forward, especially after you watch this fight.